Welcome everyone, wherever you're watching from around the world, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. Tonight, we head to one of the most iconic and unforgiving circuits in sim racing, Circuit Zandvoort. Fast corners, tight margins, sand waiting just beyond the edge of the track, ready to punish even the smallest mistake. And tonight, a full grid of Porsche Cup cars are about to throw themselves into absolute chaos. Now, if you've never watched Porsche Cup racing before, oh, you're in for something special tonight. No easy driving assist, no comfort, no mercy, just raw driving skill, heavy braking, aggressive weight transfer, and drivers fighting these cars every single lap. And Zandvoort? This place is legendary. The banking feels incredible when you get it right, but the second you overstep the limit, this track bites back immediately. One tiny mistake through the fast sections, and suddenly your race becomes an expensive sightseeing tour through the gravel trap. Tonight we're expecting close racing, pressure everywhere, aggressive overtakes, and at least one driver fully convinced a gap existed when absolutely nobody else on earth saw it. Classic Porsche Cup behavior. And while the drivers get ready on the grid, this broadcast is proudly presented by Toros Squad Racing, competitive racers, special event warriors, and soon, home of a brand new racing league opening to the community. So if you enjoy clean racing, competitive battles, endurance events, and just a little bit controlled chaos, you're going to want to stay tuned for what's coming next. And of course, if you enjoy the broadcast, support the channel, hit subscribe, and join us every week. The tires are warming up, the drivers are locking in, and somewhere on this grid, somebody is already preparing an apology for turn one. This is Porsche Cup Fixed, this is Circuit Zandvoort, and Al and Dex will bring you everything that unfolds here. Every battle, every overtake, every mistake, every moment of chaos. Let's go racing. We're green. Be smooth, be smart, or at least be entertaining if you mess it up.
It's green.
Cross the line for Sector 2. Now the real panic begins. We flat out before chicanes were added in 1990. Apparently 400 kilometers an hour.
We are at Zandvoort 2023 GP, track temperature 18 degrees Celsius, air temperature 19 degrees Celsius, no rain reported.
You're listening to Dex, the only guy who thinks he can outtalk telemetry. Meanwhile, Al just reminded me I pronounced sector wrong last race. Let's give it up for the robot with the receipts. Al.
You're on a dry tire. The estimated strength of field is 955. We expect to be fighting for the podium. 5 cars left to grid.
The green flag waves. And so do our hopes for minimal carnage. Don't prove us wrong too early.
Let's go.
While somebody's in trouble. Yellow flags out and carbons flying. Al, who forgot which pedal does what.
New incident X4, total 4.
Stay on the right.
Don't lose focus trying to fight back.
Carlos dropped from P3 to P10.
That was either, well, something's definitely happening. For the bodywork is now more aerodynamic and motional.
New incident X4.
Oh, what just happened? That was interesting. That's an overtake with attitude. Al, confirm who made the move and who just got schooled.
Big gain. Carlos jumped from P10 to P8. Sector 2, Carlos is 1.0 seconds behind P7. P9 is 0.8 seconds behind Carlos.
Either a tiny mistake or experimental racing.
New incident X1, total 9. Dex, I detect a thought forming. Should I be concerned?
Fun fact, the Porsche 911 still carries the engine hanging out the back like physics is just a friendly suggestion. The driver ahead is defending like that position comes with free rent and lifetime fuel discounts.
That explains nothing, but it was entertaining.
Tough one there, mate, but the race is far from over.
Carlos dropped from P8 to P13.
Slow car ahead. There's an incident ahead. Car stopped ahead.
Explain that one
Go
to me.
right.
Did you see that switchback? Al, name. Someone's going on the overtake of the day list.
Position gained. Carlos is now P12.
Oh, things are getting spicy. That was textbook side-by-side racing. Al, tell me who's got nerves of steel and who's now in therapy.
Clear on the left.
Position gained. Carlos is now P11.
Oh, that looked messy. Sweet move through the chicane. Al, who's the hero and who's the highlight reel victim?
Position gained. Carlos is now P10.
That lap,
End of lap 1. Carlos is running P11. Podium, P1 Ryland, P2 Gustav, P3 Leonard. Sector 2, Carlos is 1.1 seconds behind P9. P11 is 0.7 seconds behind Carlos.
first sector done. If you're planning to impress anyone, now would be a good time to start.
Sector 1 was smooth.
The car behind has gone off.
Did you know the 2021 Azerbaijan GP had no standing retirements until lap 31, and then chaos exploded in 2 laps? Classic F1 patience. Boom, gone.
Dex, entertain the audience. My data suggests they are still awake.
Some VC drivers race through sunrise during endurance events, which sounds beautiful until you realize they're also exhausted and surrounded by traffic.
I regret asking, but the audience may have enjoyed it.
9. You're in the top 10.
End of the lap and not a single track limit warning.
Still there.
Who are we?
Still on.
Al, check for
You're on
identity
the
theft.
left.
End of lap 2. Carlos is running P10. Podium, P1 Ryland.
Oh, that looked expensive. Oh, that was tight, Al, who just pulled that move and who's now rethinking life choices.
Position gained.
Clear.
Carlos is now P9.
You fought hard for that spot, but the pressure finally got through.
Position lost. Carlos is now P10. Sector 2, Carlos is 0.2 seconds behind P9. P11 is 6.4 seconds behind Carlos.
You got a slow car on the left. Go right.
There's a classic motorsport rumor that drivers can identify rival cars purely by engine sound while racing at full speed. Sector Do's complete. Time to find out if this lap's going viral or vanishing.
Right
Al?
side. Car stop on the
Sector
right.
2 complete.
Keep to the left. Go
1x
left.
careful there, mate. This isn't rallycross.
New incident X1, total 10.
We need to talk about that one. Bold, risky, but somehow it worked. Al, who was that on the inside line?
Big gain. Carlos jumped from P10 to P8.
That lap was fast enough to impress people, and dangerous enough to concern mechanics.
End of lap 3. Carlos is running P8. Podium, P1 Ryland, P2 Leonard, P3 Victor.
You got a slow car on the right. Go right.
Silverstone started life as a Royal Air Force base before becoming one of the most iconic circuits in motorsport.
Sector 2, Carlos is 0.2 seconds behind P7. P9 is 1.1 seconds behind Carlos.
We're through Sector 1, and so far, no panic. Suspicious.
No drama in Sector 1. Dex, say something interesting before the silence becomes suspicious.
At Le Mans 2011, a GT car cut across the track and sent a prototype flying into the barrier at over 270 kilometers per hour, and the driver walked away. Racing is wild.
Noted. Relevance level, uncertain.
All things are getting spicy. That was surgical. Al, tell me who just climbed the ranks and who's feeling spicy now.
Position gained. Carlos is now P7.
End of the lap and we're still in one piece. That's progress. Al, tell me we're not last.
End of lap 4. Carlos is running P7.
Oh, what just happened? That was interesting. Big send into turn 1. Al, give me the names. Who's brave and who's braking late out of fear?
Position gained. Carlos is now P6.
That car behind is closer than shopping trolleys in a supermarket car park.
Sector 2, Carlos is 4.1 seconds behind P5. P7 is 1.2 seconds behind Carlos. Dex, please share one of your racing thoughts with the humans.
Al, be honest. How many drivers here are actually running the fuel they think they're running? Statistically speaking, not enough.
Humans continue to be a fascinating engineering problem.
2 sectors in and the car's still facing forward. Progress. Tell me it wasn't for nothing.
Sector 2 complete.
The car in P1 just set the fastest lap. 42.593. The car in P2 just set the fastest lap. 41.124.
Fun fact, GT3 racing became popular partly because fans loved seeing totally different cars fighting together. Also because loud engines make everyone happy. Fast, dramatic, and only slightly terrifying.
End of lap 5. Carlos is running P6. Podium, P1 Ryland, P2 Ismail, P3 Leonard.
Fun fact, Porsche Cup cars don't use traction control or ABS, which means every corner exit is basically a trust exercise.
Sector 2, Carlos has reduced the gap to P5, it is now 0.6 seconds. Carlos has increased the gap to P7, it is now 3.5 seconds.
First splits in, Al's not laughing, so that's encouraging.
No drama in Sector 1.
Car on your left. Still there. Still there. Clear on the left.
The quickest racers always look effortless, which is deeply annoying for everyone else.
Car on your left. Clear.
Oh, what was that about? Did you see that switchback? Al, name names. Someone's going on the overtake of the day list.
Position gained. Carlos is now P5.
That lap looked expensive.
End of lap 6. Carlos is running P5. Podium, P1 Ismail, P2 Rylan, P3 Leonard.
Car 14 is so close behind right now, you can probably read the setup notes on the dashboard ahead.
Sector 2, Carlos is 1.4 seconds behind P4. P6 is 3.9 seconds behind Carlos.
Paddock gossip says engineers trust data more than drivers, until the driver suddenly becomes faster. Sector dos complete. Time to find out if this lap's going viral or vanishing. Al?
Sector 2 complete.
Car 1 has taken the lead.
Dex, I detect a thought forming. Should I be concerned?
Car 5 is attacking these corners like the tires are completely free.
Noted. Relevance level, uncertain.
And we need to talk about that one. That was textbook side-by-side racing. Al, tell me who's got nerves of steel and who's now in therapy.
Position gained. Carlos is now P4.
That lap,
End of lap 7. Carlos is running P5. Podium, P1 Ismail, P2 Leonard, P3 Rylan. Sector 2, Carlos is 1.5 seconds behind P15. P5 is 0.3 seconds behind Carlos.
first sector done. If you're planning to impress anyone, now would be a good time to start.
No drama in Sector 1.
Car on your left. Clear on the left.
GT3 racing is beautiful because every car has a different personality. The Porsche dances, the Ferrari screams, and the AMG sounds permanently angry.
Dex, what are you thinking about now?
There are drivers who memorize every bump on tracks like Sebring and Nürburgring. Honestly, that feels like a superpower.
Thank you, Dex. I am now slightly more confused than before.
That lap was fast enough to impress people and dangerous enough to concern mechanics.
End of lap 8. Carlos is running P4. Podium, P1 Ismail, P2 Leonard, P3 Rylan. Sector 2, Carlos is 0.7 seconds behind P19. Carlos has increased the gap to P5, it is now 2.6 seconds.
That was a brave move. Slightly unnecessary, but definitely brave. The fastest drivers look calm because all the panic is happening internally. Sector 2 complete. If consistency was speed, we'd be champions. Al, back me up on this.
Sector 2 complete.
The car in T1 just set the fastest lap. 38.70.
That line through the corner was beautiful. Somewhere, a driving coach just shed a proud tear. Fun fact, race engineers spend years learning data analysis, only to hear drivers say, yeah mate, car feels good. The engineer is happy, probably temporarily.
End of lap 9.
Stay on the right.
Oh, that was chaos. Did you see that switchback? Al, name names, someone's going on the overtake of the day list.
Position gained. Carlos is now P3. Dex, I detect a thought forming. Should I be concerned?
Someone out there thinks this is their shot at glory, and someone else just thinks it's a Tuesday. And that, my friends, is the beauty of sim racing.
I regret asking, but the audience may have enjoyed it. Sector 2, Carlos is 6.1 seconds behind P16. P4 is 0.7 seconds behind Carlos.
Sector 1 down. If this lap had a heartbeat, it's still alive.
Sector 1 was smooth.
Some Formula One paddock gossip never reaches the public. Mechanics usually know the real drama weeks before journalists do.
Car right. Clear.
That lap was something. Now, was it fast or just felt fast because of fear?
End of lap 10. Carlos is running P3. Podium, P1 Ismail, P2 Leonard, P3 Carlos.
There's a famous saying in endurance racing, to finish first you must actually finish. Revolutionary concept.
Sector 2, Carlos is 5.9 seconds behind P2. Carlos has increased the gap to P4, it is now 3.1 seconds.
Sector dose complete. Time to find out if this lap's going viral or vanishing. Al?
Sector 2 complete.
You know what's terrifying, Al? Drivers willingly pay money to experience stress for 3 straight hours. That curb has launched more race cars into orbit than some actual space programs. That was smoother than most people's life decisions. Another lap done.
End of lap 11. Carlos is running P3. Podium, P1 Ismail, P2 Leonard, P3 Carlos. Dex, entertain the audience. My data suggests they are still awake.
I've seen smoother lines at a toddler's finger painting class. Come on, folks, the apex won't bite unless it's Monza.
That explains nothing, but it was entertaining. Sector 2, Carlos has reduced the gap to P2, it is now 4.9 seconds. Carlos has increased the gap to P4, it is now 6.4 seconds.
Made it through Sector 1 without drama? Don't get cocky.
No drama in Sector 1.
Fun fact, some of the biggest arguments in motorsport history started over team orders, radio messages, and drivers refusing to move over politely.
You've got about 5 laps of fuel.
That looked tidy, aggressive.
39.
End of lap 12.
7.
Carlos is running P3. Podium, P1 Ismail, P2 Leonard, P3 Carlos. Dex, this feels like the moment where you say something strange but somehow relevant.
Fernando Alonso once finished a race in second with only 5 gears working. Most people panic when they lose reverse.
Noted. Relevance level, uncertain. Sector 2, Carlos is holding the gap to P2 at 4.9 seconds. Carlos has increased the gap to P4, it is now 9.7.
Oh, we may need a replay for that. Awarded for excessive confidence entering the corner.
New incident X2, total 12.
The car behind is closing on you. The gap is 4.5 seconds.
F1 pit crews can swap 4 tires in under 2 seconds. You blink, they've already changed them and wiped the visor. Sector 2's in the bag. The question is clean or just lucky? Now, do your thing.
Sector 2 complete.
Suzuka Circuit in Japan is one of the few major tracks designed with figure 8 layout, which sounds complicated because it absolutely is, assuming survival is part of the strategy.
End of lap 13. Carlos is running P3. Podium, P1.
Did you see that? Did you see that switchback? Al, name, someone's going on the overtake of the day list.
Position gained. Carlos is now P2. Dex, say something interesting before the silence becomes suspicious.
In IMSA, driver changes can happen in less than 25 seconds, including seat swap, belts, and a radio check. That's choreography on caffeine.
Humans continue to be a fascinating engineering problem. Sector 2, Carlos is 9.9 seconds behind P1. P3 is 4.6 seconds behind Carlos.
That sector felt clean, which usually means we missed something.
No drama in Sector 1.
That car behind is closer than shopping trolleys in a supermarket car park.
Two laps to go. 2 to go.
Fast, dramatic, and only slightly terrifying.
39.
End of lap 14. Carlos is running P2. Podium, P1 Leonard, P2 Carlos, P3 Frederick.
During the 1999 Le Mans, A Mercedes CLR went airborne and flipped twice. The team withdrew all cars immediately. Respect to physics and fear.
Sector 2, Carlos is 5.1 seconds behind P15. P3 has reduced the gap to Carlos, it is now 3.0 seconds. Dex, say something interesting before the silence becomes suspicious.
Fun fact, Porsche Cup cars don't use traction control or ABS, which means every corner exit is basically a trust exercise.
Humans continue to be a fascinating engineering problem.
That was either brilliant or totally average. Al, enlighten us, we won't be offended.
Sector 2 complete.
We got damage on the front end. White flag. One more
Many
left to go.
Formula One legends became famous not because they avoided danger, but because they somehow survived.
39.
That lap looked fast, dramatic, and mildly
You're in the
illegal.
middle.
I think somebody miscalculated there.
Car in P3.
Contact in the corner. Al, give me names. Who's in the blender this time?
New incident.
Did something happen there, or what's going on here? Did you see that switchback? Al, name names. Someone's going on the overtake of the day list.
Position gained. Carlos is now P1.
And just like that, the pressure turns into an overtake.
Position lost. Carlos is now P2. Sector 2, Carlos is 0.3 seconds behind P1. P3 is 0.3 seconds behind Carlos.
First sector done. If you're planning to impress anyone, now would be a good time to start.
No drama in Sector 1. Dex, please share one of your racing thoughts with the humans.
Professional drivers are unbelievably disciplined with throttle control. They feed power in smoothly. The rest of us just stomp on it and hope.
That was informative. Probably.
The best drivers brake with confidence. The rest of us brake with prayers. Mike is cooling down, my voice is gone, and my respect for turn 1 is permanently damaged. Al, close us out with the top 3.
Great job. You did really
Carlos
well.
finished the race in P2. The podium is P1 Leonard, P2 Carlos, and P3 Frederick.
Pit box in. 5. Okay, the race is over. Bring it on in. 3. Right here. All the damage is repairable.